Oh, we did it. And I will stop messing with the background over here.
We got it.
Yay, we did it. We're slightly savvy people on this Tuesday.
Slightly.
Slightly. You know what? What is it? Just 1% better every day. I'll even take like the 0.5% these days. Okay. Because I don't know about you, but shit doesn't need to be this hard all the time.
Nope.
Or am I just old and crotchety now? Is this what has happened?
I am also in the same boat. So I feel like it's a 50-50 split of I'm just old and crotchety, but also everything's on fire.
Valid. So hi, welcome to Tuesdays with Tori, where we're old and crotchety. And then I got especially crotchety just because I done this is my 10 years in this whatever adult retail pleasure product B2B side industry. Insert name here, right? And for the last 2 I've been focusing mostly more on condoms, but before that I had come from lubricant, and just like I thought I was like, oh, it'll be kind of an easy transition, and it was in some ways because I at least knew there were different types of condoms. But the unfortunate amount of misinformation or stigmas, biases that happen with condoms, and the fact that they've been around likely 50 years longer in other retail establishments than a lot of the, toys, vibrators, rubber, lingerie, and DVDs even, right? So the gatekeeping made me grumpy. So I started a soapbox. Welcome to my soapbox. Yes. I call it Tuesdays with Tori. And then I've dubbed myself the condom charmer, which really it's more like just welcome to my condom chaos. And so then today it's extra extraordinary. If I could figure it out, like I'd make like the fun banner and just be like, it's a Screw Taboo Takeover. Ta-da!
I don't know how to do anything.
I know. Well, someday.
Past Windows 95.
You know what? I'm doing the learnings, but I also have to sell things and try to keep my job, So this will be good footage we can look at later, right? When we're all famous. We're like, oh, look at when it was like tiny little time. Right. Tuesday with Tori. And now we have managers to do that.
Whose face is bigger on the screen.
So thanks for tuning in, guys, and listening to the rant. Now the rant has feet, and I have to say thank you. It has a nomination, which is an XMA now instead of an XBiz thing, but for retail education. So now I got to keep doing it. So thank you. No pressure, but thanks everybody out there. The soapbox has turned into some sort of retail education or just education in general, which really was what it started, right? I know I've told you this story, Josh, and you have to just keep hearing it. But
I'm old,
the whole
I probably forgot.
Just to have like spark some inspiration, maybe. So then I guess you could take it away from here, Josh. How does the story go? So then you're awesome, and I'm sharing my soapbox. And how long have you been doing your Screw Taboo stuff?
So Screw Taboo started in 2020 when we were all kind of isolated from COVID. And
that little thing called COVID. I know that like we pretend it didn't happen anymore, but I don't know. I'm not recovered.
I'm not either. And I can tell you 90% of the filthy travelers on the airplanes aren't either, because they're all like in open plane wind. So enjoy that. So Screw Taboo started 2020 when we were kind of alone and isolated from not just each other, but the way our industry worked as we knew it, right? Being able to travel and train. I was ground to a halt for a year. So Screw Taboo started. Then while I was home, it was massive. We did videos often. It won an XBiz award for education program. Went back on the road, it kind of dipped down, right? But
because again, it's just us. Someday it will be different,
right? So like you are finding right now, like when you're good at it, now it's like, oh God, this is part of my job now. I just kind of started this thing one Tuesday when I didn't have anything to do, and now I have to do that. So Screw Taboo's coming back. So
maybe this is the official episode where we just merge it so we can keep each other accountable somehow.
Exactly.
Open it. I just accidentally kicked my dog. Sorry.
Oh my God, I love it. Poor baby.
He's okay. He's a turd anyways,
He's
but
perfect.
you know, when the world gets grumpy and I don't even like myself, I have to remember Pokey likes me. So
Pokey does like you.
Pokey likes you guys too. Go
So,
on, Josh, with your Screw Taboo life.
But one of the things I had really realized or learned is that there's kind of a demand for this talk sex with Sue Johansson vibe that this generation don't know nothing about. They don't realize that they're craving that connection, right? Us Gen Xers going back to, after 9 o'clock on whatever day she was on, clung
Do
to
you
the
know where
two.
your kids are?
Exactly. Like, we all got to understand. I don't know how we made it. Our parents had to be reminded that we existed. There are no commercials right now reminding helicopter parents and gentle parents. Did you
No,
know you have kids?
it's the messaging they're getting is, have you updated your child's Apple chip or whatever?
Right, exactly. That you shoved in their ass at birth. They had to remind them that they had So that era of kind of Sue Johansson, right? Someone that you can relate to, someone that is talking about these things that you feel bring a lot of shame, or maybe familially or religiously you've been taught bring a lot of shame. And you have someone that you can relate to, like Sue was like everybody's Canadian grandma. And if
Aw,
y'all are too young to have
Sue.
known about the show, go on the YouTubes and look up Talk Sex with
Go
Sue
into them
Johansson.
interwebs.
Right, the WWs, right? Look up Talk Sex with Sue Johansson. It was phenomenal. She's why there is the Dad Bottom. I could tell you that because I remember as a little kid and as an adolescent looking at folks like Sue Johansson and Dr. Ruth and realizing that maybe the way I feel isn't so terrible, or the way I feel doesn't make me whatever. And now I'm noticing people are craving that. Now in this digital world, everything is in these 1 minute, 33-second blips, but they truly are craving connection. And to
Especially
be,
once you can kind of name something, right? I know, or maybe it's just me and my trying to learn about this mystical thing called the ADHD.
oh my God.
Right? It's like I almost feel like as soon as I can name something and that makes sense, it's almost like the worse I am at it now, right? I'm like, I'm trying to understand my ADHD, but now that I'm like, oh my God, I feel that so much more worse. It's kind of once you can name something. And I guess that's why the therapists tell you to name feelings, really, right? So you can process. Same thing. Once you kind of know that maybe there's a like mind and more information, I guess humans are curious.
Humans are very curious, and humans deep down, despite us just jerking off to our differences every 5 minutes lately, it seems like humans deep down have a village mentality, have a yearning for connection, for understanding, and for empathy. Deep down, we're all very scared people.
Deep
And to be
down,
able to
we're
have
not meant to, right? We're tribe communities, and
exactly,
we're not meant to be alone, in my
we're not.
opinion.
No, we really aren't. And that doesn't mean you have to like go run off and do the stereotypical marriage thing. It just means that people crave that connectivity. And if we could provide that, and we could provide the information they need to be able to then go out and seek it in healthy ways, we're going to have so many fewer abusive relationships. We're going to
Ooh,
have
I need
so
to
many fewer.
just write
Um,
that down. That would be another one, just like the healing, right? It was something that I, again, didn't know too much about until I was working on this side of the industry, that it's not just, ooh, I'm a kinky person, I'm not vanilla. It's like, no, there are other levels to it that can
there are
actually
rules
heal
like
people's
that.
trauma and open up different compartments of the mind, right? That
Absolutely.
would be a huge one because I don't know enough about it. This is where I'm like, I know how to sell. So this is why we're like merging our, like, he can actually educate and I can tell you how that's important for your business, right? This is good. This is good.
And people want, like, especially when it comes to kink and BDSM, it comes to what they consider to be taboo. People want to understand. They think they do, right? So then they'll go on again, the internets, and then we have an uprising of like Tumblr DOMs, is what we call them. And
Ooh,
they're
I learned
just
something today. A Tumblr Dom.
Tumblr DOM. Yeah,
This
they're
is I feel like if we could type it into the chat, I would put it on the banner and be like, "Oh, we're learning. It's a glossary. Go on."
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
Tumblr Dom is, so I live in the Midwest, South adjacent in Tulsa, right? Tumblr Doms are a bless your heart kind of folk. They're people that
The oh, bless your heart. Yeah.
right, yeah, that wish they could be dominant, think they are, they think they know what it means, they have no idea, and they go out doing more damage than actually doing what they should. They don't understand the nuances and
Which is
the way.
something I do want to talk about later, where it's like when 50 Shades of Grey, because I like to read, came out, everybody just didn't mean to. This is where we're talking about society shapes things, whether you have a bias or not, right? Like, oh, that is a kink contract. No. That is somebody's book fantasy, quick, just having an experience in your mind. That's not an actual kink contract by any means.
Right. That's a fantasy. And like 50 Shades did what it was supposed to do in the sense of it woke up the sexuality of the middle-aged mom with money.
Spark.
Exactly. But like when it comes to this is how to be a dom, no. That's
not just no, hell no.
Yeah, that's not it. So like I've had folks come up to me when I'm teaching open to the public stuff and they're like, I just want a 50 Shades of Grey experience. I'm like, no, you don't, because that's
no.
abuse. That's
No.
abuse.
Like, okay, I understand the feeling and the experience. So we'll start there. But there's a lot of health and safety and communication and respect that goes into any of this, because again, a lot of it's not just the physical side of pleasure, but there's a big part of your brain that is connected or it's working on making a different reconnection. So I guess before we get too deep into it, for anybody who doesn't know, right, let's do the basics. We started with some glossary terms already today. This is awesome. For anybody who doesn't know, what exactly is BDSM? Right.
So BDSM,
if like I say, like I'm an 8-year-old, but actually don't explain it to me as I'm 8, but just I'm an 8-year-old
where
mind.
the mommy and her daddy love each other. Okay, so
there's a bird and a bees. Matthew Skinner, are you listening? Are you watching? There's a lecture coming.
We're tying up little 8-year-olds, I think. So
and this is why I don't understand all my things, and I think I'm getting shadow banned, but I'm not actually trying to monetize myself or anything. So I'm kind of like, I don't care, but this might be why. But I love it. Go on.
Shadow banned, you have to post the day before with like a picture of your dog, and then just put it way down in the text. We'll see you tomorrow.
Is that the secret? I'm gonna try this.
I've been teaching
supposedly the lives here.
for a while.
Ooh, see, diabolical. And I'm trying to trick the algorithm by going live. So that helps too.
Trick it and then post a picture of your cute little dog and then just put it down in the text.
So right, I'll screenshot it for later. Here's my thumbnail, guys.
Oh my God.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Okay, BDSM and social media hacks. Yes, for you, Matthew.
So
I'm glad.
There's a couple of different ways to look at the definition of BDSM, whether it's bondage, domination, sadism, masochism. I think of BDSM.
That's what the BDS and the M stand for, everybody. Correct. If I had a whiteboard.
There it is. I like to think is BDSM or kink is really anything outside of the vanilla norm. So really, the vanilla norm is missionary sex to procreate between a cisgender heterosexual male and a cisgender heterosexual woman. If you're having any other kind of sex, if you're using a toy, if you got a little feather tickler or a massage candle, congratulations, you're a little kinky. You're adding things that are not for just the benefit of procreation, right? When you're incorporating things like bondage and discipline, and ownership, essentially being submissive, being a dominant, as well, so what the SD at the end can stand for, which is what I prefer versus sadomasochism, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm not. Yes,
it sounds a little aggressive.
but
I'm feeling judged by your labels. Okay.
Exactly. But it could also kind of stand for, submissive and dominant. To be in those roles are sacred spaces, right? You could be one or the other or both, but it's important to know what of those roles you are. And you don't really know those things unless you research, unless you experiment, unless you allow yourself to explore. So BDSM is generally uh, the art of ownership of other people, um, as
I've heard
well
it called
as,
a power exchange
yes,
almost,
as
right?
well
Yeah.
as a complete exchange of power, right? I'm accepting full control and responsibility for you, and you are relinquishing full control and responsibility to me. That's a sacred space. And when people don't understand that's a sacred space, is when trouble comes a knocking. But it's a sacred space. I am to dominance what Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin are to music, right? I'm considered very old school. And I think a lot of that is because I spent the first 25 years of my life as abroad. So I take things like consent very serious.
Makes you very gentlemanly almost, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Chivalrous. There we go. Chivalrous, not dead.
No, sure isn't.
You know, just hang with Josh.
It's just the standard transsexual 5'6 3/4. That's all it is. So I take, consent, those type of things very serious. But what folks don't understand, when you're even starting within BDSM, all of it starts with conversation. Like couple sex, like Friday night random sex, and kink sex are two different sexes. One, you're like, okay, so we got 30 minutes till the new episode of The Masked Singer comes on. Do you want to throw it back real quick, or what are we doing? But kink sex is a conversation. So you're talking about everything that's going to happen in that session. You're setting things like safe words and phrases. And we're going to talk about that. You're
Oh
setting
yeah, I was gonna say,
things
wait,
like,
I can prompt you for the next part because you kind of started, and
yep,
now let's
prompt
do
me.
the
Tell
like
me. Tell me.
hashtag communication is lubrication,
Oh
100%
my
here.
God. Oh my God.
But yeah, I did want to ask if you could, because again, I talk about consent a lot on the show, and consent in you might not know you're consenting to things about your health you might not be aware about. So, right, one of my favorite phrases that one of our good mentors, I'm like, yes, please. I didn't realize I said it so much, and now I do take it, is like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
So if you didn't know, we're going to tell you some things. So consent is a huge cornerstone of the BDSM or any kink community, and should in all sexual acts, right?
Yes.
Can you walk us through some of the frameworks that are around there? I know there's the
Yes,
rack, like
yes.
the risk awareness, and any of the SSC sort of, like, let's learn some more glossary terms.
Yeah. So the prime two are rack and SSC. Not to plug Master Series because I don't, but to look at the packaging when you're in your stores. Any Master Series product, you're going to look at the back of it by the barcode, and you're going to see a little trifecta yin yang, right? It looks like a yin yang in three, and the term SSC beneath it. That's safe, sane, and consensual. That's like the holy trinity of kink, the mirepoix of filth, if you would say. Rack is risk aware consensual kink. Both of those are pretty much one and the same. They operate a little different. So with safe, sane, and consensual versus rack, rack is that you are aware of the risks associated with any part of this kink you are about to consent to. Safe, sane, and consensual means that we have undergone conversation and evaluation of our scene. It is safe or can be made safer. Because, like, we know anal sex isn't the safest sex, but we know it can be made safer by condoms and lube.
Oh,
Right?
and hey, guess what? It is now it is now a sex act per the FDA, right? So little tidbit, people, I used to have to do paperwork for items that, the back would still say, hey, for penile and vaginal use, even though the label might say anal, because it just wasn't. It's like when you try to talk to your medical insurance. There was no code for it. So this is where I give props to One Condom, because they actually went through and did the testing for 3 other condoms, and we have the backdoor pack for that. Yes, can you and should you use any condom in the backdoor? Absolutely. But also these guys just went and spent the 10 years and the $1 million to do the testing. So I will give them props for that.
Absolutely. And quite frankly, they're like, well, I can't feel it, or it doesn't fit, or it's 10 to 1 a bunch of bullshit, right? Just put the thing on, because you're really not going to be able to feel your dick when you got cauliflower growing off the edge of it, right? So just
like, you got a whole long life to live.
Right.
Don't
just cover it on up.
What was the other like super toxic thing I heard recently that's like going around? It's like, well, we shouldn't have to use a condom because like we shouldn't be having sex if you don't trust me. I'm not dirty.
Right. And that's also a bunch of bullshit.
Again, you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
Thank you for the rant. See, this is why we have the soapbox.
I'm
Okay.
Here for it. I feel the exact same way about it. So with safe, sane, and consensual, when it comes to consent is like fries. I like fries. I like French fries. Okay. It is freely given. It is fully revocable or reversible. It is informed. It is enthusiastic, and it is specific. So, freely given means you are not coerced. It's not like, okay, or you're not maybe given a substance. It's free of your full free mind and will. Okay. It is revocable and reversible, meaning just because you said yes doesn't mean it means yes.
You're allowed to change your mind.
You're allowed to change your mind. And if someone does not have the control over themselves to be able to stop immediately, I don't care if they're 3 minutes from a nut, 3 pumps from a nut, and you say the word,
not
if
your
they don't
problem.
have the control to stop immediately, then they don't have the control to control you. They don't have control of themselves. They can't control you. Simple as that. And safe words and phrases are not things to be looked down on. I encourage folks to deploy them when needed. Uh, it is informed, meaning you know exactly what's on the table. That's where things like hard and soft limits come in. I don't use the term limits, I use the term stops, because I don't do the speed limit. It's more an artistic interpretation, right? But I stop at stop signs and at red lights. So in our mind, limits are meant to be pushed, stops are not. So I just use the term stop. Hard stop versus a soft stop. What is it? Let me tell you about it. A hard stop is something you will not do under any circumstance at all. You don't want no part of it. A soft stop is something you don't normally engage in, but you might. You might, depending on how the evening goes. Or so let's say,
I need more information, right?
right.
Or I need
So
more
let's say,
feelings, more
like,
experience with it. Fair.
you say in the very beginning of the session, hey, Josh, I don't want a penis in my ass. I'll be like, okay, that's a hard stop. No problem. But you won't have a penis in your ass. But the soft stop maybe, I could be persuaded to, like, you know.
I've done the same things, believe it or not. Like how would one connect the light system to business? Oh, I've done the same things in business meetings, right? When you have a hard stop, here is the agenda. These are the appropriate times to ask questions or have follow-up things. Like it's okay to show up with I'm someone who's just a people pleaser. So oftentimes if the script or there's a plot twist, so to speak, or something changes, I'll feel like I need to still be performative, and that's horrible, right? And I can't be the only person that's like experienced that, right? Just right. Because of your nature, right? So it's like, again,
it's because of your conditioning, my love. People that were assigned female at birth were conditioned differently,
because that makes you a good female, so to speak, right?
Right. So that's what makes me very old school, where I will tell people, if you're gonna be fucked in a different way, fuck yourself first that way. So if your partner wants to try anal and you've never tried anal, the first time to try anal is not with your partner. It's by yourself. It's when you masturbate. It's with a finger. It's with a tiny silicone anal plug. Oh no, are you losing it? Are we losing it? Are we dead? Are we gone? Oh God, terrible. I lost you, but I can see me. Strange. Am I still talking, Tori? I'm going to keep talking because I feel like I can still. If you can comment, let me know if you can still see. Matthew, let me know especially what the fuck if we can still see what's going on. But it is super important to kind of drop that. You're still going. Perfect. Thank you, Francine. So it's super important to just kind of drop that mentality of I've got to, right? One of the bye, see you later, bye, Tori. So one of the things that as folks that are assigned female at birth, especially I'll hear from like middle-aged women, folks that are in their 40s, my age, right? My generation, they'll come up to me and be like, okay, well, like he wanted to try anal, but it hurt and I hated it, but I didn't want to disappoint him. I don't want to be a disappointment. Uh, we're done with that era, besties. This is your own your shit era. So going in and being able to actually try something yourself. If you don't like a finger in your ass when you're masturbating, you're not gonna like a dick in your ass when you're having sex. Simple as that. I've just been chatting. I've just been going on. They could still hear
Well,
it. You're good.
I'm sorry.
Don't
Thank
worry.
you. Keep chatting. This
I
is why
got you,
you're like
baby.
a co-host ish at the moment. Sorry.
I
Apparently,
got
I
you.
pay for the internet and it likes to drop me. But this works because look, now we're in the same little
We're perfect.
framey guys.
I love it. See, it was
All right.
it was
What
kismet.
I missed?
Okay.
A whole lot of
We
nothing.
were talking about not being people
Oh,
pleasers in the
thanks,
bedroom. Yeah,
Francis. Okay.
yeah, they got us. So where they were talking about not being people pleasers in the bedroom, right? So if you try something yourself and you
Yes.
don't like it, you're not gonna like it with another person if you don't like it solo. Simple as that. So I would much rather you
Well, and
try.
how do you know how to communicate it?
Right. Exactly. And a lot of people don't know,
Yeah.
especially if they've
How
never
would you
done
know?
it. You're trusting somebody that also wants to try something, to do something to your body that you're not sure how it's going to feel. You're not sure if you're going to. So we're going to stop that by just doing the thing first. Okay. So you are 100% informed when it comes to knowing what those hard and those soft stops are. You go into this scene knowing, okay, there's not going to be a dick in my ass. There sure isn't. But if the night goes a certain way, there may be a finger. And I've agreed to that, and I'm mentally prepared for it, and I know about it. But there will never be anything bigger that was discussed. So it's informed, it's enthusiastic. So it's a hell yes. Like, hey, you want to fuck? Hell yes. It's enthusiastic. It's not a, you know, um,
It's the green
I guess
light.
so. Right. It's not a, I mean, yeah, yeah. I guess so. I mean, sure. It's not that. It's not 20 no's and a yes. It's not it is an it's a hell yes. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. Simple as that. And it is specific. Just because you allow me to do something to your body today doesn't mean I'm allowed to do it tomorrow. It is specific to this time, this moment, right? You may decide you want me to take this thing back here off of my wall, right there. It's alligator skin, by the way. It's gorgeous. And beat your ass with it today. But tomorrow, you might realize that, your butt cheeks hurt a little bit and you don't give me consent to do it tomorrow. It's specific. And your body, your autonomy is what matters the most. So, when consent falls under the line of fries, rack and safe, sane, consensual are the same thing because the thing that is the commonality between the two is the consent part. So consent is huge. You're going into this scene having a conversation with your partner, knowing what will and what will not be breached. You're given the opportunity to establish safe words, phrases, or gestures. All of those things are important. So let's say you might want to use pineapple, right? That's my safe word. It's pineapple. Great. We're going to set it as any fruit or vegetable, anything that grows that you can eat, okay? Because let's say I do some super freaky shit and you're triggered, and in that moment of trigger and anxiety, you forget that one word. Stop or no mean nothing in the dungeon. They mean nothing because those aren't the words discussed. But if I hear you scream avocado or kumquat, I'm gonna know this is the stop. If I've got a ball gag in your mouth, it's my responsibility to either have you face me and not have a blindfold on so you can do this, because this is not a natural look, right? Now, if this is your cum face, you're screwed. I'm sorry. But nobody's going to blink once with one eye and then with the other, right? It's my responsibility to keep
Not
hands
usually.
out. Right, right. If you're having a stroke, oh my God, I'm sorry. To keep a hand out and tap out.
Is there it's like, yeah, okay, that's part of the safe
Three
words.
taps.
I'm
Yeah.
unwell.
There's always going to be multiple opportunities that we discuss. These are going to be options to tap out. If my submissive is also a partner, the safe word is going to be my name because I'm not addressed as my name in a dungeon space or during a scene. If you say my middle name or my last name, everything stops. Josh, that doesn't mean anything. But if you say David or if you say Ortiz, everything stops because now I know, right, that you were triggered in some type of way, that it brought out. And as a Dom, I encourage using those things. If you feel at any moment like I just need a second, a lot of folks use red, yellow,
Yeah.
green, like traffic lights. I am here for that. Red is stop. And folks are like, yeah, but that's not sexy. Yeah, it is. It is 3 words. Where we at? That's it. All you got to ask every 10 minutes, where we at? And your sub is going to say red, yellow, or
Yeah.
green. Red, stop. Yellow, stay where you're at. Don't speed up. You know what I mean? Don't go any faster. You're welcome to slow down a little bit even.
Yep.
And green is progress as you would. Continue, ramp up, whatever it is. Those 3 words every 10 minutes aren't going to stop the flow of sex, but they're going to ensure that both parties are having the best time. Aftercare.
Yeah, if anything, yeah, back to the communication is the lubrication part. If anything, don't you think you're going to have better sex when you can actually lean in and understand how other people are truly feeling instead of having to second guess it later or feel
Right.
like someone's got ammunition against you or what have you? Because again, it does
Right.
happen.
Right.
It just makes it that much more. I don't know. The vulnerability is scary, but welcome to relationships.
Vulnerability is terrifying. And, you know, especially giving yourself to somebody in such a way as an adult. Now I'm, as a descendant of slavery, I see it very as sacred and as spiritual as it truly should be, the ownership of other people. I take care of the things I own. I own my home. uh I'm getting ready to go fill gaps and cracks and winterize it because I take care of the things I own, right? I own my
Ooh,
truck. That's
that,
Midwestern dad
I
shit.
can't help
That's a
myself.
bunch of
It's
oak
that.
going on. That's a bunch of
I
oak
can't help
going
myself.
on.
Wait, was that caulking?
It is caulking. It's cream
Is that your
color.
caulk? Was that caulking?
It's
Is,
it's my
I was gonna
cream
say, is it
color
white or
caulk.
black caulk? I got it.
Cream.
Oh,
I saved the black
delicious.
caulk for the big
Okay,
jobs.
I think I might have internet. Ah,
We're the best people.
true that. Okay.
So like when I own something, right, I take care of it. Like I own my pickup truck. So when I know it's gonna storm crazy in Oklahoma and Tornado Alley, I move my truck away from trees so they don't fall on it. I take care of the things I own. Now, if I own a person, my job is to leave them better than I found them. They don't people don't depreciate unless you depreciate them. Simple as that.
I try to
So
do most things in my life with that attitude, not necessarily
mhm,
people, but just like try to leave things better than you found it. Period.
right.
Doesn't matter if it wasn't your job, wasn't your relationship, wasn't your store.
It doesn't
Try and leave
matter,
it
right?
better.
If everybody lived, and as a Buddhist, that's a big tenet of my faith anyway. But if more people just became what they wish they had,